Hello and welcome to the Literary Lair, although, as you can see, this is not the usual Literary Lair. I am breaking from tradition this week and from our usual filming space to bring you a very special video because this is our 1,000 subscribers special, for lack of a better term. It's been a long road getting to this point. It's taken way longer than I thought it would, but we have cracked 1,000 subscribers. I have the community tab, and I'm only 2,000 watch hours to getting monetization back. So, go put on that April Fool's Day video that's like an hour long on like repeat or something so I can get my numbers up. I'm kidding. So to celebrate that, because this is a pretty big occasion, I have decided to, in part of my long-standing tradition of ripping off ideas from more popular content creators, I am going to do a meme review inspired by Legal Eagle, who does legal meme reviews for his milestone videos. And honestly, I just thought it would be fun. I wanted to do this to celebrate 800 subscribers early last year, but then stuff happened, and then, well, I figured might as well wait till 1,000, and here we are. So, anyway, we are going to start, and the only thing I'm going to preface this video by saying is that this is not like my vintage book ads video or my amazing stories video. This is completely unscripted. Like, I wrote a little bit of a note to tell me what to say for the intro, but I have gone way off script at this point, and I'm going to be off script for the rest of this, so hopefully I edit it together good where you don't hear a lot of my filler, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, let's get to work. Problems of a Book Nerd, number 83. When I say I wish they would turn this book into a movie, what I really mean is I wish they would turn this book into a 17-hour-long spectacle that includes every single solitary detail and doesn't deviate at all from the storyline and has perfect casting. This is a good one. I have softened a lot over the years. When I started making videos, when I had no subscribers, I probably would have said that this, I totally agree with it. But I think to a certain extent, I've reached a point where knowing from taking film classes that there are some things that you just can't do in an adaptation, and you don't need to adapt every detail. But, I do agree that at a certain point in my life I would have agreed with this meme. New books that I want to order that I don't even have time to read, the copious amounts of books I already own, me. That is a very relatable meme. I am notorious for buying books. I have so many books on the shelf, and maybe when I'm done with this, I will record a video or take a picture of the shelf, because there are so many books on that shelf that I have read, and so many that I haven't. My to-read pile is huge, and I just keep buying more books. I just bought a whole stack of books, and I have Axiom's End, I have like 3 Star Trek books, and I have a bunch of ebooks, too, that you can't even physically see that I meant to read and I didn't, so, because Star Trek, it's all Star Trek, to be completely honest. It's all tie-in books, but, yeah, no, I totally, agree with this. I keep buying books, and I'm not reading fast enough to keep up, but I think I like buying books more than I like reading, if I'm being honest. You know you're a book geek when you still get upset thinking about the Library of Alexandria. Yes, I have read or heard that apparently it wasn't as big a deal as we make it out to be, but I'm the type of person who, if I, like, rip a page in a book, I feel terrible for a week, so the idea that any books were, like, destroyed, like, kills me inside. When I see people, like, use books for art and they, like, rip pages out or do stuff, I'm like, that, in my my top 15 Twilight Zones episodes video, or top 10, whatever that was, that scene from the one with the guy with the glasses, I can't remember the name of the episode, and I'm going to hate myself later, because I'm going to remember it, but when his wife, like, rips up the book, that little scene I put in the video, oh god, no. That was my genuine reaction while watching it. So, yeah, I agree with this one. When someone assumes that when you are reading a book that you are doing nothing, and therefore can be interrupted. Repeatedly. I totally agree with that. I can't tell you how many times I'm reading a book and someone needs me to do something and, it's like, I'm doing nothing. It's like, when you're doing like a hobby, people think you're doing nothing and it doesn't matter. I definitely, a feeling I felt a lot, although I don't typically dress like that, but that is a look that I know I've given. Buys 10 books, reads 3 of them, sees how many awesome new books are out, buys 8 more, repeat forever until house explodes. That is 100% true. As someone who has been an avid reader since I was a kid, all I do is buy books. I just went on that whole spiel about it, so I won't bore you with any more details, but yes, I agree. I'm that book that you've been meaning to read. That is the scariest Halloween costume ever. Book buying is a hobby entirely unrelated to book reading. Yes, again, 100% totally agree. Buying books and reading books are 2 different things. You don't mind waiting in the car? I have a book. You won't get bored. I have a book. I might be an hour. Wave's book. That is 100% true. That is me to a T. I relate so much to this. Whenever I go anywhere, I am almost always carrying a mass market paperback in my pocket. I have a lot. Every jacket I own, I make sure it has like an interior chest pocket, suit jacket, winter coat, anything. So 100% of the time, if I go anywhere, where I might have any hang time to not be doing something, I have a book because, that's how much I like reading. What should my New Year's resolution be? Buy no more books until you have read all the ones you bought last year, or what about buy loads of books? Actually, that seems like a pretty good idea. High five! And now he has books in front of him. This reminds me a lot of a Simpsons bit, the I am evil Homer bit, where, like, inside of you there's a fight between good and evil, and you'll never find out who triumphs. I cannot tell you, I want to say I probably bought close to 20 books last year, and I think I read like 2. So, Victor Hugo. In order to understand what happens next, me. Oh no, it's really okay. Victor Hugo. It is absolutely crucial to know me. Oh my god. Me at Vicky every single goddamn time. Is it though? Les Mis. Les Mis without Victor Hugo's long-ass opinions. No significant recurring characters appear within the first 25,000 words of Les Mis. The text's first 14 chapters are preoccupied with a detailed biography of a priest who only appears in one scene. So this is kind of stretching the idea of a meme, but I saw this and it made me laugh. Because Les Mis I love the musical. I love Les Mis. I love the musical. I have tried to read the book no less than like 6 times, and I can't get through it because it is dense, and it is boring, and it is because the first, half of the book is complete bullshit. Not bullshit, but you know what I mean. It's like Moby Dick starts out and it has to teach you about whaling. With the exception that at least whaling is relevant to the rest of the book, and this priest does not appear at all. So this one's in there because I like it. I need to read the books I have. I need to read the books I have. I need to buy new books. Again, 100% accurate. I have nothing more to say. Do you guys know how Mary Shelley lost her virginity? It was a graveyard smash. Incidentally, if you find that funny and want to know more spooky book trivia about horror authors and the like, go check out my spooky book trivia video I did 2 Halloweens ago. It's incidentally very good in my opinion. WTF? This book has absolutely no information on killing birds. I figured we needed a lolcat in here, and that is true, and I think the only mention of killing a mockingbird is in reference metaphorically doing it with a gun. And I don't think a cat can use a gun because they don't have, opposable fingers. Or maybe they do, I don't know cats. But I'm pretty sure a cat can't fire a gun. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, though. Books I buy, books I don't buy, handshake, I do not read them. Again, I am very guilty of this, and I won't bore you with any more details. You can tell a lot about a person by looking at their bookshelf. For example, if you look at my bookshelf, you can see that I desperately need another one. This one is funny because I have the bookshelf that I sit in front of. You guys know I'm pointing because it is across the room. And you see it. I have so many books packed up in the boxes because I only have the one shelf, and not all my books fit on that shelf, and I also use half the shelf for DVDs. But yeah, no, I definitely relate to this one. I need many shelves. When I get my own place, I am going to have like wall-to-wall bookshelves. That's just the whole room. The pain of being a book addict. Paperbacks gets too easily damaged. Hardcovers, too heavy to read in bed. Kindle, doesn't have the smell of books. That is true. I love physical books. I love owning books. Like I said, I think I like buying books more. And I'm not one of those people who's against e-reading. I do most of my reading at night before I go to bed on my Kindle. But I do think there is something missing with an ebook compared to like a fresh book or like an old book. I mean, especially with the smell. I do agree with this one. Squirtle. Unread book, unread book, unread book, unread book. Another new book! Again, I don't need to say it. You know my feelings on these memes. When you're reading a book and get to the part when the title makes sense. He said it. He said it. I have to admit, I don't always have that with books. I don't think a lot of the titles of books I read are sort of that type of book. Like, I read The Martian, or I read The Fault in Our Stars, or MASH, and it's like the titles are kind of obvious. But I do think there are certain books, and certain media in general, where you're like, oh, that's why it's called that. And I think that's a very fun and exciting feeling. Me when I'm reading a crazy scene in public. 12 seconds later. What's going on in my brain? I can't, so I've said it in a lot of videos. I do most of my reading during my commute. So, or I used to before this happened, before everything happened. But I would do a lot of reading on the bus or the train, and I can't tell you how many times I would be standing, because sometimes I would be standing and reading, and sometimes I'd be sitting, and I'd be like either standing or sitting there, and I would get to this really like funny part of a book, and I'm just like, or getting to like a part where something crazy is happening, and I'm like, and it's funny because that is the one thing about wearing a mask in public is now I can make expressions and nobody knows what I'm doing. So now I can read crazy scenes in peace and not have to worry about like my face giving me away. Walks into a bookstore. Me 1 second later. I choose you all. That is 100% true. I love going. I have not been to a bookstore in a year? I think the last time I was in a bookstore, I was up in Boston visiting my cousin in January last year, the week before Star Trek Picard came out. So that was like mid-January. And yeah, I 100% agree. I go into bookstores and I'm like, I want to buy all the books. But I cannot carry that many books, so I can't. Me, an interesting one-off book/book series. The 20 plus books I haven't read yet. This one, again, I've talked about that. But I do a thing, really, where I flip between books, and I will take a break in the middle of, like, a series that I'm reading to read another book, and then I'm like, oh, now I want to read this other book that I just found out about. But I have this series. Right now I'm in the middle of the Millennium series, the DS9 books. And I'm reading Groucho Marx's memoir. And I feel like I'm going to get to a point where I'm going to find another book before I finish the Groucho book that I'm going to want to read. And then, I think I did just find a book. I don't remember what it was. But it was this other book, and I'm going to end up wanting to read that and not go back to Millennium, even though I'm in the middle of it. Victor Frankenstein. Science has left me a sad and lonely man. Knocking. The creature. Who are you? I'm the sad and lonely man science has left you. That's funny. It has been years since I read Frankenstein. I did a video on it way back in 2013. Don't go watch it, it sucks. But that is extremely, extremely accurate to the book. Seeking One Night Stand. I might need two, though. I do have a lot of books. I do love wordplay, and that is funny. Although I would rather go for a shelf. I don't think a nightstand is enough to hold all my books. I don't remember Old Sport's name, and at this point I'm too afraid to ask. And that's Jay Gatsby, for Leonardo DiCaprio from the movie. And that is one of my favorite, ideas or theories, that the reason he calls everyone Old Sport is because he can't remember their name, which is a great thing to do, because you just call everyone by a nickname, and you don't need to remember their name, and it's great for people with anxiety. That is funny. I don't know what the to be continued at the end is. I think that's a JoJo's Bizarre. I don't get that part. I don't know if that enhances the meme. Let me know in the comments if you know if that, enhances the meme. Book publisher. Book with the movie version cover. Me. Whew. Yeah, no, unless the poster is really, really good, like The Outsiders was a really good poster. That was a good cover, but most of the time, the poster is not good enough to replace the original cover. That's the thing, is when a book has a really good cover, you do not want to see it sullied by the movie poster, unless that poster is phenomenal, and they very rarely hit that high. Orpheus, Eurydice. And it's the Despicable Me, and he's like, the plan, and then he looks away, and he turns back. That's funny if you know the myth of Orpheus and Eurydice, where they were escaping hell, and if Orpheus turned back, he lost her forever, and he turned back. And that is funny. I included a couple of ones that are specific books or stories, just for fun. What the author meant, what your English teacher thinks that the author meant. For instance, the curtains were blue. What your teacher thinks the curtains represent his immense depression and his lack of will to carry on. What the author meant, the curtains were fucking blue. Okay, so I have a bone to pick with this meme. I know it's meant as a joke, but engaging critically with a work is not bad, and I'm going to go into this really long anecdote, and I apologize, but I saved this meme specifically for the reason of talking about this. So I think the reason this happens is because a lot of the times you're forced to read in school, and people who don't like reading are forced to read these books that they don't like. They have no choice in the matter, and it makes them not want to engage with the books because they have no interest in them, and I get that. But this is a very dangerous mindset, because engaging critically is important, and more importantly, authors can impart meaning and not intend to, but that interpretation of meaning is still completely valid, and might actually be accurate unintentionally. The anecdote is that when I was in college, I took a creative writing class, incidentally, fantastic professor, and in the class, we had to do writing, and I was taking a screenwriting class, and I was just so overwhelmed that instead of writing for the class, you were allowed to bring in something you had previously written. So I brought in Doctor Who fan fiction. I had written this short story for the Paul Spragg Big Finish Memorial opportunity. And I think I'd missed the deadline that year, so I was still working on it in September, so I brought it in, but I basically filed all the serial numbers off. I changed all the names, and I put it in, and the way I come up with names is I either look at a generator, or I just start making noises with my mouth until I find a noise I like, and then that becomes the name. So in this case, the story initially featured the second Doctor, Jamie McCrimmon, and Zoe Harriet, and I altered it to, I don't remember what I named Jamie and Zoe, but I changed the Doctor's name to Laz Trent, L-A-Z Trent, and I don't know how I came up with the name. It wasn't like it was some crazy idea. I just liked the sound of Laz. So I wrote this, I brought this story in, and we talk, and we do a group discussion, and everyone brings up stuff they liked, stuff they didn't like, questions. I had, at one point, forgotten to take out a reference to something very Doctor Who-ish, the fact that Patrick Troughton's Doctor wore that funny hat, and I had forgotten to take that out, and so that was a point where I was like, that was an earlier draft. I meant to take it out. So anyway, I'm getting off topic. My professor questions the name of the main character and says, his name is Laz. That's interesting. Is it related to the biblical figure Lazarus? And it wasn't. It was totally an accident. I didn't even conceive that would have possibly been anything. That was not what I was thinking. It was nowhere in my brain. Nowhere in my active mind was I thinking about the Bible when I was rewriting this fanfic. So I was like, no. And then, but before I answered, I thought about it, and I went, Lazarus, in case you're unaware, in the Bible, is a guy who dies and then Jesus brings him back to life. I think. I've never read it, but I know the story. Or he came back to life on his own, but whatever it was, he died and came back to life. And what does that sound like to you? Because to me it sounds like a Time Lord. It sounds like the Doctor. It incidentally sounds like Captain Jack, but more importantly it sounds like the Doctor. And it fits. I did not intend that, but the interpretation is valid. The character in this particular story got his start as a figure who could be resurrected from death. And it completely blew my mind. It completely changed how I looked at stuff, because even the meaning that you don't think makes sense, even if the author didn't intend it, is still valid. And I apologize for going off on like this 10-minute tangent about this creative writing class, but engage critically with fiction. Engage critically with media is all I'm going to say about that. I apologize for going off. And I think this is our last one. I have 200 unread books at home, but I really, really need to buy this one. The Story of a Book Lover. That is definitely true. I am always on the lookout for more books. And I think, that brings us to the end of this meme review. They were a bunch of very funny memes, most of them about liking buying books more than reading them, but I think it was a very interesting experiment. I hope it turned out okay, and I hope you at home enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed my unscripted reactions. Obviously, I have seen them because these things go around and I see them a lot on social media, but I hope I provided a quality product, and I want to thank you all again. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for the 1,000 subscribers. And I'm just so happy that we made it to this point where I could justify doing a special video like this. Tell me in the comments if you want to see more of videos like this. Tell me in the comments what you want to see more of in general. Now that I have 1,000 subscribers, I think I have to start worrying about engagement and stuff, so I will bend to the will of the public, as long as the public's ideas are good. So I think that brings us to the end of this video. Again, thank you for watching, and I will see you all in my next video. See you next time. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed that video, be sure to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date on the channel. And if you'd like, you can also find my videos on any of these fine websites. And if you want to help out the channel, you can support us on Patreon. See you next time.